You know, the most important thing is to listen to people and to do what you then think is right. And it's only not doing what you think is popular in the moment. Because if you do what's popular and it doesn't work out, you will be judged by that. So always do what you think is right. And that's been great so far. And I'm the longest serving member of council. So I think that's one of the reasons. So I'd like to have everybody do that, and I think we'd be in a better position right now.
So hey, Alexa for Urban News, and I'm currently with Rick Chiarelli, elected official council here in Ottawa. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. I was wondering, why did you started to speak out against what is going on right now?
Well, you know, the police chief kept telling us that there's no policing solution to this. And that's code for, that means it's time for politicians to do their job and hear from both sides and come up with some sort of resolution. And in this case, you've got people from far out of town who've spent a lot of money, their own money, to come here and protest, which is their right. And they wanted to be heard. And I didn't see anybody listening to what they're saying. So, you know, I recommend that everybody go out and listen and consider what they're saying. And even if they disagree, go out and listen. And but no one else was doing it, so I thought, well, I can't ask people to do it unless I'm doing it myself. So I'm out here doing it myself, and I'm hearing, well, I've discovered, first of all, they aren't all Nazis, they aren't all racists, they aren't all insurrectionists. In fact, I didn't meet one that was. But they're regular people who are working Canadians with jobs, and they're bringing their families with them in many cases. And then the next thing was the mayor and council said, okay, we're going to call out the Children's Aid Society to inspect the kids that are in these trucks with their families. And you know, if your goal is to make sure this ends peacefully and calmly and without violence, I think the last thing you do is threaten the kids, because chances are somebody will not take kindly to that. And so I thought it's just time to go out and start the listening process. The only ones right now listening to the truckers are the police. And that only goes so far, and when they're getting their orders from the Prime Minister and the Mayor to go out and show some force, then that's difficult. You know, fine if people commit crimes, like blast their horns at 2 a.m, there should be a ticket issued, there should be some action by the police, but that doesn't mean you turn on everybody who's in the protest. So, going out last night, I met a lot of people from Alberta, British Columbia, New Brunswick, and some from Ottawa, and they just want to be heard, and having their horns heard is not the same thing as having their voices heard. So they seem very appreciative that someone was listening, so I hope other people do that too.
So would you want to speak out before that, and what was the biggest challenge on it?
Well, the biggest challenge on this is that there is a virtually universal ideology that vaccines are good and that we should be imposing them on everybody. And if you speak against that, then you're part of the Flat Earth Society, and no one's going to listen to you. So, but the thing is, people have a right to come out and protest that. And I heard 2 days ago that, well, they're really here to overthrow the government. Okay. In a democracy, you cannot come out and use force to overthrow a government, but you can protest to ask the government to be removed. That is a fundamental right. And so even if their goal was to get rid of the prime minister or something, that's their right to ask for it. And it shouldn't be treated like a crime when it's a fundamental right. So I think that that's something we have to keep in mind. And there'll be an election if they ever got everything they wanted, there would be an election, and then the public will decide what they want in its place.
Do you think that you are the only one who think on the same way than you?
I think there are probably some others who do, but are sort of afraid of what the outcome would be. So whatever, I think that, when I first started in politics, I was a teenager when I first got elected. And when I met with Mayor Ben Franklin, he was our mayor at the time, he said, the most important thing is to listen to people and to do what you then think is right. And it's only not doing what you think is popular in the moment. Because if you do what's popular and it doesn't work out, you will be judged by that. So always do what you think is right. And that's been great so far. And I'm the longest serving member of council. So I think that's one of the reasons. So I'd like to have everybody do that, and I think we'd be in a better position right now.
And what is your thought about the fact that Doug Ford and the Mayor Watson have declared the state of emergency?
Well, the state, that's a difficult one. Declaring a state of emergency at this point in the process seems a bit odd. I assume that that's going to give more power to the police, and I'm not sure that's what's needed here when no one's listened to anyone yet. There's a great power in listening to people. They sometimes have better ideas than you do, and then you can use them. But if you don't do that, then it never ends well. So I think people should remember the job of a politician in this case is to listen to people, make sure they feel heard, and consider what they've said.
And what do you think about the statement of Mr. Trudeau saying that this movement is violent and most of them are racist or misogynist? Do you see any of that?
I haven't seen a racist or a misogynist yet, and I've talked to lots of people. There was, and it's a racially diverse group, first of all, so I'm not sure how they're going to stick the racism label on them, but this typically is done in order to discount their statements. So if you can convince people that these are bad people, then you don't have to listen to what they're saying. And that's not the way out of this. The way out of this is to listen and consider what they're saying. And I haven't seen a single violent person. I haven't seen a single racist person. Now, I know there were video shots of somebody with a Nazi flag a couple of weeks ago, but we don't even know if that person was part of the protest. So, or part of the convoy. They could have been Ottawa citizens, because unfortunately we have that problem here. Calling names and labeling people is probably the worst thing you can do right now.
And what do you think about the mainstream media who are a little bit in the same narrative than Mr. Trudeau, just going and follow the narrative?
Yeah, well, politics now has gotten ridiculous in some ways, and one of the ways it has is by treating disagreement as heresy. And it isn't. Part of politics is hearing people's disagreements and considering them. That's the only way you get to the right answers. And so if people are going to be treated like racist and misogynist just because they have a different opinion, then I don't think that leads to a good answer.
And so far, can you just describe by your word what you see so far in this movement protest?
Well, so far, what I've seen is a lot of happy people from out of town, and we would normally call them guests, and that's what I've been calling them, because I hope a lot of them come back as tourists. But and they've been very polite, and yes, they have something to say, and they're happy if someone listens. And I think that if somebody has taken the trip from Calgary to get here, and somebody goes and listens to them, then they'll think, okay, I've made my statement, and I can consider going home. But if they're treated like pariah, then I don't see how they're going to leave before the very end.
Do you think that what they are doing right now would make a change in the decision of lifting the mandate?
Well, I don't know. I think normally they would be headed that way anyway, because the vaccines don't prevent the spread of the disease, and I guess the impact on businesses has been pretty difficult. And you know, a lot of what they're saying about this is that the convoy has had a great negative impact on the businesses, when really the negative impact on the businesses was the mandates, and the fact they can't serve people who have a mask on or don't have a mask on, and the fact that they had to lock down and close, that had much bigger impact than this. And I've seen a lot of businesses here that seem to be doing quite well because of the convoy. People are coming in and spending money. So I don't know. I think it's going to end with the mandates being stopped anyway. So whether that happens now or 6 months from now, I'm not sure what difference it will make to the disease, but it'll make big difference to the economy.
Thank you very much for your time. It's really appreciated.
Okay, thank you very much.
It was Rick Chiarelli, official elected here in the city of Ottawa, and he is the one who have the courage to speak out about what is going on right now in support of the truck convoy. I hope you like my report. It was Alexa for Urban News, still in Ottawa. We are covering everything that is about the Freedom Convoy that is happening here in Ottawa, but all across Canada. We have all our crew on this event. And so if you want to help us out with our travel expense and all our coverage, please go over convoyreport.com. In this website, you can sign the petition as well, and we'll look at all our video about this Freedom Convoy.